Hi, everybody. How are you? Okay. So it has been a busy day. I don't know about you, or you. Yeah, it's been a good day. Okay, so let's check back in and see what we've been up to. I posted a page today. I started doodling this morning. This is a page I'd drawn a while ago. And so this morning I started doodling. This is what I do in the mornings is that I'll just sit down with a marker or a pen or something like that in order to warm myself up. I'll start drawing some things. I've got the post up right now for if you have a one-page comic idea that you can put in 1 or 2 sentences, put it here in the chat or in the comic section below the video. And we'll do it. We'll see what we can make of it. So, all right. And then I wrote an example. This is an example that you could suggest. No, don't suggest this one. I said something like, right? An example. Meaning that, not that. Okay, so this is the sketches that I did with a red marker and a green marker. So that's what I got up at 6 a.m. in the morning to do. But let's jump to the other camera. Why did you do that, Chris? I'm glad. So glad you asked me that. For this is the finished page. Friday, we left off with our Richard Simmons page that was suggested. That was a lot of fun. Saturday, I put up a promo for the one-page comics of Bob and Doug McKenzie. If you're familiar with Canadian comedy or Canadian big media characters, I know that the McKenzie brothers were huge in the States as well. But yeah, that's a little flyer using those guys trying to capture the spirit of that bit. Then Sunday's page is Riot. And the page that I did today is a sort of companion piece to this. It's the same structural approach to it. This is drawn in markers and with a bit of color thrown onto it, but with a lot of modulation for the chaotic effect of it. And then today's piece is, again, drawn in marker. Now, the chaotic effect, of course, in this one is the overlay of marker, which is, half of it's done like this with the images on multiple pages that then get put together. But the principal drawing for it all is just straight drawn one color and the other color behind it. So all around it, really. So, and then yesterday's page was the page we started in Friday's live stream, which is Punch Up at a Wedding. It's a Radiohead song. But I can't remember what I called it. The Bridal Bouquet, I called it, because I wanted to call it Punch Up at a Wedding, but, come on. So, yeah. And so today's page was finished and stuck out there. And so now we're doing today's page. And today's page is suggested for us by Mr. Jim Luan. And so we got 2 different ways we can approach this. Today's topic is Rasputin, David Bowie, and Joan Crawford share a giant burrito breakfast. So I can draw it traditional, or I can draw it in the computer, in the robot. I'm really excited. I cleaned up my space. If I draw it in camera, I'm going to do it in ballpoint pen. If I do it in the robot, I'm tied up. If we're going to do it in the robot, I'll do it the drawing stylus, of course. But hold on a second. But I got some pens I can use. So, we'll go into my one pen drawer. I got a couple in here. There's this one, and then there's this one, and I've also got this one and other. So, yeah. So if anybody's got a preference on that one, just write it in the comments. Blue or black? There's a whole bunch of different options I have on this. Not that one. It's empty. I have a fair amount of pens that I empty. I used to keep them all in a drawer, and then I realized I have an entire drawer full of empty pens. That might be a problem. So, yeah, trying to tighten up the space. I've also got these crazy things. These are all Dayglow pen colors that are just crazy. They're crazy, but they're fun for doing quick sketches like I did for today's page. It's really a case of try everything out. Try, when you see these little packages of weird colored pens or the like, give them a shot. You never know what you're going to find with those. I mean, because look at this. This is a metallic color. These are metallic values here. I mean, there's a gold, there's a bronze, there's a purple. It's like a goldy purple. Yeah. But that's it's a fun way to approach it. Yeah. Yay! But I've just done Dayglow colors for this last thing, so do those in a row. I cleaned up my studio space, which is something I need to do on a regular basis. And in the course of doing so, I got myself all tidied up and everything all neat and looking like I'm organized. Like I'm organized. Okay, lots of things at work. This morning, I spent some time working on, I'm almost wrapped up on one of these projects that I'm doing for somebody else, which is very exciting. And then I had a couple of meetings. And here's some hot goss for anybody that's watching. I got a mystery voice thingy. Some mystery voice work doing for an upcoming project, doing voices for bowling announcers. Yeah, because when you look at me, you think bowling announcers. That's that guy. All right, so yeah, we've got. I'm looking forward to that. And I've got a couple other things, setting up some workshops for something else, and. But I've done a little bit of voice work. I had to do a commercial. One of the things I did was I had to do a commercial for a windows and doors company nearby. And they wanted me to do it like the guy that does the Dodge trucks commercials. I can't remember, Sam something. And it was a really silly project, but I had fun doing that. I didn't fit in the studio. The studio is not built for a tall person. The studio is built for small people. So that was awkward. Okay. So yeah. Hey, Gary Hodges. Afternoon, Gary. I'm excited. Gary's got a program up for anybody else that's dialed in. Gary's got a program coming up that you can get notified for if you follow him on YouTube, where he's talking about the fact that he's down to 5 pages on his latest book. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is exciting news. Because if you had the opportunity to read Gary's first 2 books, you'd really be looking forward to this third one. Which means go and get Gary's first 2 books. So, yeah, it's been a really great day of having conversations with different people about their ongoing projects. And the fact that, that we can share that with one another, and the fact that we can engage with one another on these projects and have enthusiasm for what each other are doing is pretty great. I'm pretty dialed into that. I'm a big fan. Big fan. So, all right. Gary, if you're still here, do you have a preference between digital pen or traditional pen? Today's topic is Rasputin, David Bowie, and Joan Crawford share a giant burrito breakfast, as one will do. I was laughing to myself because I was sitting there thinking about before the voice work opportunity came in. I was thinking to myself about how do these characters each speak, because you try to capture voices when you're doing, actual people into pieces. As I'm doing these David Bowie business and Rasputin impressions, I was thinking, what the hell does Joe Crawford sound like? And then the opportunity came in, so that was fun. All right, are you working? Are you working on the job here? Hey, you're working. All right. Blue it is. So this is a Bic. This is a Papermate. And something I'll try to do is I'll grab a scrap of paper and I'll make marks with both whatever pens I'm going to use to check for the temperature of the inks in there. And what I mean by that is that different ink has different warmth or coolness to it, so that you'll find with different pens, if you're drawing in one pen, no, my pen's run out. Calamity! Whatever will I do? I know, I'll get another pen. And you grab said other pen with as much vigor and joy as one can possibly muster, only to find out that it's a completely different color of ink. It's also a black pen, but it's a completely different black pen than the one you used. And that's all because of color temperature. So try to check the two of, if you're going to make sure you got your backup in place, just in case something goes wrong with one of them, that there's some similarity between those values. So, all right, there we go. It's a fun suggestion, isn't it, Dee? Welcome aboard, Dee. Okay, so ballpoint pen it is today, folks. So I'm just gonna sit down and scribble out some. I don't know if I want to work that big. I think I want to work loose and easy and put things together. It's been working for me lately. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go for it. All right. So start with the Papermate. Have a piece of paper aside. And what I mean by having a piece of paper nearby, I'm going to tilt it, and I apologize for that. The whole world's crooked. Have a sheet of paper to the side of your working area. Like I've got this scrap piece of paper sitting here that I'm testing my pens out on. And the reason for that is when you're doing an awful lot of marks like this, and you're got the pen on such an angle, it's giving you this nice allowance of control for the gradation that's happening from the marks you're putting down. There's a dollop of ink is going to fit on the other side. And so that's where you're going to get these little smudges of ink, these little sort of bits and bobs that easily get smudged and spread across your paper. No good. So keep a piece of paper nearby so that every now and then, or a paper towel, so every now and then you can just turn it out and just turn the pen out in your hand, and it'll take that dollop of ink off the top. That is all my advice for drawing with pen. That's it. Philip is joining us. Good afternoon, Philip. Philip, there's the fun, huh? It's tax time in Canada. Yeah, there are a few things more enjoyable in the Canadian culture than doing our taxes. I don't want to spoil that for everybody down south, but it's something that we really enjoy here in Canada, and I'm sure that you can tell from that Phil will testify to this, is that we love it. We line up in droves on the street and say, "It's tax time!" Gleefully kicking up our heels as we skip across the street to the tax office. Tax office of choice. And then there's those that do it from home, or those that have an accountant that does it. So, yeah, so in my new setup, I've got myself far more organized to be able to have things put away and to have myself look like I've got a plan. Philip says, it's not fun, but if it means getting money, I hear that. That's why I keep randomly going around donating blood. Not to blood banks. We got a vampire problem in London. All right, so I'm going to make some boxes. That's right. So the notion is I'm just going to crop a third right off the bat in order to establish an equal identifier panel for each of our principal characters. I have left a space at the front for the text, for the title of the page. You know, my last couple pages, I've tried to differentiate where the titling goes and where the emphasis is on the page theme, basically, is what our titles are supposed to convey in some sense. And this one, I'm just going to go for your standard right at the front. And so I'm cheating by using pencil. That's Canadian for pencil. I want, hopefully, to start all kinds of belief that there's different pronunciations for the same words in Canada as there is in the States. Which there is about some things, but I just want to really push that. So this is pencil. We have them here in London, Ontario. It'll catch on. I'm sure of it. All right. So, so the idea is that as each of the characters enter into the room, they're going to have their own presentation of themselves. And I figured I'd start with Joan. I've left myself not an intense amount of room. And of course, right off the bat, I cheaped out on Joan's space. I'm going to give her a little bit more room for her panel. Why? Because she was a big deal, that's why. A big deal. Dramatic. And then I'll draw some David Bowie. And then some Rasputin. All right, music of choice today. I am listening to David Bowie. It's called Sympathetic Inspirato. So yeah, wrong one. I've sourced up an image of Joan Crawford. That'll be my starting point here. I don't know about you, but I like to scribble circles. I don't know what routine or regimen that people put themselves through. I got an opportunity to watch Dee Dee's live stream yesterday, and she started doing some calligraphy work. And she has her little routines that she does of process that she goes about doing her calligraphy work with. And it's the same for me. I got to do some squiggles and stuff like that with the pen before I start putting marks down. Because when you're not using pencil, or as we pronounce it in Canada, pencil, you don't want to necessarily make any mistakes. You know, it's actually kind of fun to have challenges of, these sort of disparate characters that you get ham-hocked into the same story. So thank you for that, Jim. But it's one of those things where you can't pass up on an opportunity to draw Joan Crawford and Rasputin in the same table. Getting her hairline in there. I tend not to structure out when I'm drawing a face. I tend to move around it, which can at times lead to having some bad perspective or some little twisty perspectives. And that's the beautiful thing about the Photoshop-y. There's one real affordance that Photoshop has given me over anything else. Okay, that's not true. Polish is what it's given me. But the other thing is the ability to correct my weird twisted perspectives that'll show up on images. So I've got to do this with as simple a line as I can, and also hold the pen while I'm doing it. because I want to keep her face sparse for lines there. But she had very clear look, you know. As I was really impressed by Dee Dee's calligraphy work. If anybody has an opportunity to go and check out that video, please do so. It's definitely inspiring to make you want to get out the materials to do some lettering of your own. I tend not to letter traditionally anymore. It's funny, comic guys will develop this thing where our notes that we'll leave in general in life will look like we're writing in typeface for a comic page, like we're doing traditional lettering. Just because after you do enough projects, you can't not do that. That's how you write now. That's how you, if you're writing in traditional letters, not script, right? Not what the hell am I trying to think of? If you're writing this as opposed to this, cursive is the opposite. So I've got a couple of images that I pulled up. What did he say? Thanks, Christopher. I need to do it more to stay limber with it. Italic is challenging too. I find it's easier to write in italic if I've had a couple of drinks. Everything leans over that way. I'm far more concerned about keeping the marks limited on her face over anybody else's. Because if I don't, she's going to yell at me. I watched an interview with Joan Crawford earlier because, like I said, I was trying to figure out what she sounds like. And the reporter or the interviewer was on a British program. And the interviewer says to her, "So I heard a rumor that you're thinking of retiring." It's like, why would you even say that to somebody? It's like, you've done 76 films. I heard you're retiring. It's like saying you've done enough. Go away. I'm tired of you. It's the last thing these people want to hear is somebody saying, aren't you about done? So this is what I'm talking about the different value of line that you can get from Papermate. And I would argue that it's far nicer than a ballpoint pen to use than Bic is. And you can seal both of them. You can put a light fastness spray over top that locks in that pigment so that it can be in direct sunlight and not fade out. But I just tend to like ballpoint, Papermate pens better. Oh, there we go. Didi says, I like the look of Gothic black letter. It's my favorite. Calligraphy is something I'd want to learn someday. My grandma used to do it. Gary. I don't think Gary's saying grandmas do calligraphy. So I'm trying to get the cast shadow underneath her chin. I like that dramatic. I chose the most dramatic lighting image I could find for a really quick look for Joan Crawford, just because she's dramatic. Of course she is. Anyways, this video is funny because in this interview, she's like the nicest lady, but you hear horror stories. Because his grandma used to do it. Not saying it. Picking on Dee Dee because she's a grandma. I'm a grandpa. Okay, good. I get in panic. I get into a panic mode because of Frank comments. There's a part of me that's always, what's he saying next? So just throwing in some of her curls for her hair. I think that there's a part of me that really does want to play with some Ben-Day dots and behind. I've been calling them Dayglow dots, and what I meant, of course, was Ben-Day dots. That I've really been enjoying using. I did it on the Riot page that I posted this weekend. And I think I might want to put some Ben-Day dots on this page as well. But I'm using a piece of 11 by 17 regular old comic paper stock in order to be able to structure this page in a traditional way. The only problem I have with digital drawing is that at the end of it all, there's no finished article. There's no finished item. And there's this part of me that just does not trust not losing all my stuff if something goes wrong with the robot. So we started loading my pages on the cloud. The cloud. There we go. It's not just me. Didi agrees too. Good. I think it's the segues he gets me with. He'll segue. Yeah, well, I do that, but I do it blankly, blank, blank. And it's like, what? Because I don't think I'm part of whatever that reference was towards. I don't know what that reference is. So that's where Frank will get me. So there's a dollop right there. I missed one. Grumble, grumble, grumble. So it's tricky to have to get those off. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm on board with that one, Didi, all the way. It's, but it makes you go, what in the world? So now I'm going to have to lift this off, this dollop of ink as I'm going. And the reason that I try to lift it off is so that it doesn't get dragged across the page. So I'm just trying to take that little extra bit out of it, a little bit of pressure. I'll come back and do it a little bit more. But it's aggravating. I like ballpoint. I've done a number of books completely in ballpoint pen. I could show some of the examples if anybody's interested in seeing those. Show some of the things that we can do with ballpoint besides just drawing, the slow monotony of watching me draw here. It's a fun thing to try to push yourself. You know when I do that? Oh, yeah, Frank. We love Frank. Everybody loves Frank. Frank does just like the cheese, though. Okay, I'm going to try to pull up something here. I have got Yeah, here we go. All right, so I'm going to switch. Dee Dee says, I always enjoy seeing each other's artwork. Okay. Brace yourself, Dee Dee. Here it comes. All right, it's just populating the page. So this is a book I did, Trials of Apex. So I'll pull up some of the pages out of it. And so these are drawn. So I blue lined the page. Sorry, there's a bit of a, it's formatting challenge here. Just give me a sec. I'll correct that in a second. Just so it's not chopping up the page like this. There we go. Okay, so this is drawn using a color erase blue pencil and a blue ballpoint. And so with this book, with this story, it's essentially a it's a different approach to a Superman type story, but using here's another page I'll pull up. This is the idea behind this is to try to tell that type of story, that sort of story trope of strange visitor from beyond and how it affects the people that are there. But I tried to draw it as semi-realistically as I could. And I think that my approach to ballpoint, because it does make me slow down and able to, in order to be able to control that ink flow, I think I get a lot more realistic approaches out of that. So anytime I share a screen, I wince, thinking I'll turn everything off, coming back. Dee Dee says, yeah, I completely understand that. Gary says, I like ballpoint. They were my personal favorite medium in high school and college. I loved the cheapy transparent Bics, breaking them in just enough you could almost use them like a pencil. Me too, Harry. I know she means Gary. I did my last Inktober with them. Nice, Dee Dee. Yeah, so with drawing things like the Apex book, and then I got really, really involved. As the pages go on, they get more and more elaborate and crazy, just trying to see where I could push things to over the course of the story, so that I'll show you this next couple of pages here. Okay, that one should be. I'm feeding an extra layer in between so you get the whole white background in there. So what this does is it builds up to this dramatic moment where the big reveal in the farm is what's happened to their farm in the fields. And so I had the characters come out of their house and walk towards it, and which really forced me to play with light and really forced me to figure out how much I could push value with the pen and pencil. And that limitation sometimes when we give ourselves that, it really assists us in refining our approach and refining the information that we're putting down. And the reason for that is that it just sort of really makes us engage with the medium in a way that we might not do if we just sort of fall back on, this is just the way I do it. So in the earlier part of it, there's a sort of a soft approach to it, as I was in the earlier pages of the book. And then as the sun sets, which is what's happening in the earlier part of the book, and as the sun is setting down and we get into the nighttime, and this is halfway through that first volume. Oh, thanks very much, Dee. Is that this one you mean? So I've had them walk out their farm door. Dog is barking at the window. They got to push the dog back inside. The dog runs around, hides under a tractor as the couple is starting to walk onto their fields. And as they're walking across their field here, and I wanted to have that 1, 2, 3 of movement. And that's when it gets to be a little bit too much for their eyes. That's them peeking over the hill. This is them, having too much illumination on their face and having to look away for a moment. And the reason behind that is this is what they're looking at. And so it's really trying to keep some really soft touches on the details. But there's some different faces hidden inside of some of this information. This language is a language that I came up with for the book, and it translates. So this all says stuff, and I give a alphabet translation at the front of the book. And so as all of this stuff comes up throughout the course of the book, you can actually go back to your reference guide and figure out what it says. And it all has to do with information. So there's, I'll show one more. And then, there's a number of pages in between this and that, but the information becomes more and more elaborate. And that's not the one I was trying to pull up. It's the next one. That changes. Now, get out of here. I don't know what was wrong with my saving in that one. The color value was on. So I think it'll be page 2, 3. Yeah. I think it's this one. Anyways, so this is how intense the information gets until the object shuts itself down. And so, which forced me to have to figure out how I can really push the boundaries of overlapping information moving throughout the image, and yet still have a solid object that felt like it was moving before kablooey. So that's the Apex book. Another project that I worked on. Nope. I have to say no every time, aren't I? Yeah. Another project that I did the same time. This is, by the way, is one of the books my wife found in a drawer, which is why we started the publishing thing that we've been doing here in London since 2015. That's one of the books that I'd worked on and done nothing with. And forgot Hyacinth here. I think it's on the next one. This is all the books that we published. This is a lot of stuff that we put out over time. 70 projects, all said and done. That's not there. It's not in the anthologies. Maybe I don't have Hyacinth on this one. Yeah, I don't know if I have it on there. I put together a file where I'm starting to collect all the, what's this saying? Good for Mrs. getting that work out there. Oh, yeah, she's fantastic. Thanks, Didi. I'll pass it on her. I started collecting all the sketch card pages that I've done where in all these different medium I'm doing for the Sasquatch book that came out this last year for a publisher. I did a ton of little 3x4 sketch cards in different medium. And so I've scanned all those and saved them in a file that I'm now scanning all of the sketch cards that I've done and putting them together someplace. So things are I'm getting organized. I am getting organized. Probably shouldn't be showing this page because I've got film names in here, film projects I've worked on. Whoopsie daisy. Short story release. One has some pages that I did in pencil and pen. Here's one. This is a one-pager. Hey, everybody. It's Paul Pate. Hi, Paul. Welcome aboard. So this is a sort of stuff that I enjoy doing, just doodling on my own, which is really the way that I'm working out the one-page comics now. But the short story release books, I put 4 of those out. And these books are they're just short stories. They're just bits that I did. Oh, this is at night the museum comes alive, and then I saw the movies. Right? Twinkle Pies. Excellent name. Excellent name. Welcome aboard, Twinkle Pies. Am I saying that right? Twinkle Pies, yeah. So these are, again, just sketches with pen, but there's a whole bunch of different things that we can get, and it's different, like some of these little intimations of line, or the gesticulation that we use the pen, the different directional movements that we do with it allows us to push things around, and you can get textures out of that. Like you can get all kinds of little fantastic, fun little bits that we might not necessarily think about. Hair, or the tiling of scales. It's just like any other tool. It's one of those things where you can find all kinds of different ways to use it. So this is a felt pen that I used on this one, though. It's funny when I do these, I got to remind myself of what's in this book or what's in that book. Yeah, this is Baldy and Witchy. This is another short story. So these are stories that go from 1 page to 6 page at most. And I was watching Seven. No, not Seven. I was watching 12 Monkeys when I did this. So that's why the characters look like Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis. Just because I'm watching a film as I'm drawing. So that tends to happen. Okay, so this is some of the stuff I put out in previous books as well. But yeah, enough of that jibber jabber. Thanks for checking out those. My point is, with the different approaches that we can take to the marks that we make in by using ballpoint pen, there's all kinds of wonderful little textures that we can get, little shapes and little gradations. If I'm drawing larger, I'll get even more control, I find, because I can really push the marks that I'm able to make through the amount of pressure I'm able to put down. And I find that the larger the volume of space, right? Oh, Dee Dee says that was a good movie. It was. It was a great, really fun film. Based on the French 15-minute movie La Jette. Anyways. La Jette. La Jette. I watched that in high school, La Jette. Thank goodness Terry Gilliam made the one he did, because La Jette is like, I don't understand what happened there. I'm never going to get that time back. So I'll just put little overlapping cross hashes of value, build up some space. And in that way, it lets me find the lines that I'm looking for. Now, there's some other people that I would reference to take a look at their work. There's some really strong contenders for pen drawing out there for an absolute control of line, but very stylized approach. There's a guy named Dave, I think it's Dave Malinart, but he does some really strong work. Okay, so pressure, a little bit more pressure on that gives me a more solid blue as I want to put some of this embroidery in on the dress. Now, I've got this weird thing where I like to, when I put down these dark values in this real contrast of tone, I really do enjoy using like a little white highlight inside there, dropping it in certain spots at certain points. But the other thing, of course, trying to keep track of is the folding of the patterns as they move across different folding shapes in the form of the figure. Gary likes Bic. Does anybody have a certain kind of ballpoint that they prefer to use? This is a Bic round stick that I've got going. I said that it was a Paper Mate earlier. It's because it has that same. This is Bic's version of the Paper Mate style pen, which is so much better to handle than this guy is. I find that guy's a lot more of a harder ink for some strange reason. You watch, there's probably no difference between the two, but it just feels like there is when you're working. So following form, giving her, Didi says she likes Bic as well. If I can, I'll try to keep that line as soft as possible, just so that, it doesn't, the more marks you're going to put down, especially I find that when you're drawing people, the more and more marks you have on there, it tends to root out all the shapes and crevices in their face more than you might intend to do. So it's a tricky thing. So I come at it really soft. Twinkie Pie says, I like Pilot Friction. You can erase those. Well, hello, erasable pen. I like it. Pilot Friction. Pilot Friction. Erasable pen. Hey, I ordered some white paint pens finally. So I'm excited for my nose are going to come in, Didi. Paul says, I've always liked Bic. You can go real light, but my favorite's always been the Flair felt tip marker back when I actually drew on paper. I know so many artists that love ballpoint to draw with. I never could quite get into it myself. I do some doodles with it, but for finished work, I like the feel of fine tip markers. Yeah, the fine tip markers is what I did yesterday. I go for brush and ink for large blacks. Paul feels the same way, Philip. Yeah, I used to, in my first couple of comic books that I did, because I was trying to be more of the traditional comic-looking guy, I would do the large blacks with Sharpie, because I hadn't the handling of brush and ink, and quickly had to get rid of that approach, because Sharpies are horrible for putting down large blacks with. They're going to change in value. Unless you want that. You can do all kinds of fantastic things to destabilize the marks you put down, and to pull out, if you put some interference down on there, you can get all kinds of cool purples and things that come out of your Sharpies, your Sharpie black areas. So I've got Joan's big entrance to the table, and then I'm going to have David and Rasputin. Rasputin's already there, and he has already started eating. So brush and ink is really nice too. Twinkle Pie says they smell great, though, in reference to Sharpies I take in. They're fantastic. I feel good. I've been working in this closed room for hours. Yeah. How are you okay? Draw with Sharpies. Smell this. All right. So again, when laying out a panel, when putting down somebody in an image, as much as you might be using reference, Dee says she sniffs crayons. It's getting a star. Dee Willingham, folks. When I'm laying out the page, when I'm laying out panels onto the page, I will think of things in the larger context of the page itself, not just the image itself. And I think that's a problem that some people really need to overcome a little bit more. That like when the Comic Jam thing that I do every month, because it's an all ages event, because we've got people of all different generations there, the approach to storytelling can be substantially different. Largely because that explains working with the wax seals the other day, Dee. You got another star for that. Let's put a vote. Who here likes smelling crayons? Be honest. I like the smell of encaustic wax when somebody's doing encaustic nearby. Not necessarily you, but when someone else is doing it, that smell nearby is kind of nice. It's sort of like when you put... My wife caught me the other day. I came upstairs and I'm like, did you make cookies? It was a candle. And but she's just, no, it's a candle. And I'm like, it's a candle. So, oh, that's a good. See, that's an admittance right there. The googly eyes. That's an admittance. But yeah, I like the smell of the different scented waxes. That stuff. Got a wedding invitation from one of our nephews, and they had a wax seal in there with scent added onto it. And my typical thing of getting anything in a mail or any kind of letter is, oh, let's see what kind of paper they got in there. And there was a part of me that was like, I can't use this. It stinks. Yeah. Paul has no sense of smell, but does smell crayons. So there we go. So I try to evaluate as I'm going through a page to look at the structural anatomy of the person that I'm drawing, and trying to keep the relationship of the lines that I'm putting down to the scaling of the image, so that I try to keep them in proportion this way. Not always easy to do. Sometimes you get swept up and caught in the image, and especially if you start scaling out. A fellow passed away this year, unfortunately, named Kim Jong-ji. I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Who the method that he would approach drawing would be, he would see everything in boxes. Like he would consider a figure, and then he would consider said figure as though they're lying inside of a box, and he would think about the scaling of the figure while inside the confines of said box. And so as he's drawing somebody in this regard, these are the sort of considerations that he would have in his head as he's putting that person down. And so whatever different dynamic he's drawing people in, he would think about how they would work into scale in that relationship with the other box, right? And which is super cool. It's a really fantastic way to go about doing it, but that's all in your head. And it's almost like this is him as he changes the shape and form of a box. You still got to get the figure in it in comparison to the other boxes that he has in the same page. It was a really different approach, a really different stylistic approach in thinking. but it was what gave him the facility, that and on top of endlessly drawing and practicing, to be able to draw as diverse an array of things as he did. So it's a different approach, but I highly recommend people look it up. Twiggy Pies says that is genius. Yeah, look him up. Look up his stuff, because there's tutorials that he'll do. There's ways that he'll lay that down for people. He was friends with Karl Kopinski. Karl Kopinski is he's got this facility for being able to draw with both hands at the same time, and so when he started approaching things in these drawing live tutorials, he secretly practiced that enough that he thinks in the same context as Kim would do about structural boxes, so that when he's drawing, it gives him a facility for putting down all kinds of crafted lines in that same framing structure. And now, of course, because of Kim teaching, there's a whole slew of different artists that are utilizing this method. But it really will help. It really will help, Twinkle Pie, so try that out. I feel like I sound condescending when I say Twinkle Pies. Just because of the timbre of my voice. Try that out, Twinkle Pies. That's not what I mean. So I gave up with my reference, right? There's a certain point where whenever we're working, we need to stop looking at our reference, and we need to just start. Once I got to this piece of arm, I'd said, okay, enough reference. Enough looking at an old Joan Crawford image. And it's funny because I find that reference slows us down. I find that when you're looking at reference, there's a part of you that you can make those decisions to say, I'm going to omit this material. I'm going to focus only on the other material, pieces of information that are inside of the source image that I'm using. But in the process of those decisions, I think it slows down your cognitive processes for just drawing. And so as soon as I get rid of reference, I start going a little bit bonkers. And my speed changes substantially, I find. So I'm giving her a coat that she's holding on to as she's chastising the men at the table for not getting up and giving her a seat. All right. Okay, so as per usual, I'm going to remind everybody. Try that. It's me. I mean, I'm a big, scary, manly man. Okay, I'll behave myself more. Not me. I'm just a wee man. Okay, so I'm gonna put it out there again. If anybody's here that hasn't done one, please feel free to put one forward. But if you have a one-page comic idea that you can put 1 or 2 sentences, throw it here in the chat, or if you want time to think about it, just stick it on a video or stick it on one of the Instagram posts or Facebook posts, because I always post the page from the day before each day on Instagram. All right, so I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing with the background, but I just want to get on to doing some more of the character expressions. So I want to get at least one more in here. And I think I want a response. So as she answers the space and says, I'm one of you boys going to get up and give me a chair. It's not how she sounded at all. It's tricky because there's so many different characters that David Bowie would do. I was trying to think about the identity of David Bowie that I was going to put forward for this. There was a part of this that merely wanted me to have David Bowie as being the jerk David Bowie, the bad guy David Bowie that he's so good at in certain projects. But I'm not sure. Well, enough being precious about it. Oh, I'm going to write this down. Paul's got a one-page comic idea. That was definitely more Betty Davis. Norman, you come out in the house, you big poop. Yeah. My wife and I saw in Golden Pond. That's my Betty Davis from Golden Pond. My wife and I saw that in a theater performance, and the wife was played by the mom from Little House on the Prairie. My one-page comic idea: famous historical characters in an amateur boxing contest. I gotta write that down. Famous historical characters in a boxing contest. It's like the soccer game on Monty Python with the theologian or the philosophers, the Germans versus the Greeks. And that's Mr. Paul Pate. All right, that's for tomorrow. There's something else I had set up for tomorrow. If anybody can remind me what that is, because in cleaning up my studio, I have misplaced my list. All right. I was joking with Jim Luan earlier on today about David Bowie, and I'm going to start that. Paul, thank you for that. That's tomorrow's, unless anybody can think of another one that I had set up for tomorrow, because I've been keeping up with the new ones pretty regularly at this point. So anyways, I was talking about, it's not about doing an impression of Bowie. It's what you have Bowie say that makes it fun. Because it's not about just quoting song lyrics. It's about, Iman, we're all out of toilet paper. Yeah. Anyways. I'm going to say that thing that might make me have to give back my Big Macho Manly card. David Bowie was a beautiful man. Excellent. Thank you for that one-page suggestion, Paul. It's great. Paul Pate has started work on his new book, ladies and gentlemen. He's got some posts that have put up, or at least one post that he's put up, of some of the new character designs, and looking forward to that. I don't know why it sticks with me, but Jermaine Clement's Bowie impersonators in Flight of the Conchords. They're very good. Did I hear Beautiful Man? It's, ladies and gentlemen, Frank Salazar. Funky eye patch man. Yeah, Jermaine Clements, David Bowie, and Bowie to Bowie. Bowie to Bowie, is that you, Bowie? Yeah, it's really well done. There's a fantastic cartoon called Venture Brothers, which is an animated series for grown-ups that plays on a lot of the pastiches of 60s cartoons. But there's an episode where the Venture team in the 1970s has the Action Man gets lost in his airplane. And so they actually incorporate the lyrics of Tom, Major Tom, or Tom Sawyer. What the hell's the song called? Ground control to Major Tom. Come in, Major Tom. It's clearly the lyrics from David Bowie's song. The Media Monkeys and the Junkies will invite you to their plastic pantomime. Venture Brothers. Please repeat everything now. Venture Brothers is where I got my short-lived obsession with Klaus Nomi. Good for you. Oh! Fantastic. David Bowie is the villain in Venture Brothers. He plays the Sovereign. Pay no attention to the aging rock star behind the coffee table. That's all right, sir. Everybody knows you're David Bowie. Do they really? It's so good. Can I just say that the album changed my life? Really? You don't think it was too late? No, sir, that would be Tin Machine. It's a joke. It's a joke in the show. It's so good. Bowie liked it, so, you know. David Bowie, as I call him, eyebrows. All right. Jim has missed the first hour. Repeat everything now. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. How are you today? Anyways, Jim, I announced some fun things that I've got working on. One is some voice work. I'm going to be playing 2 bowling announcers in a project. It's fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. Gotta focus on that nose. Please do one of the characters as David Bowie. I wonder when David Bowie would play pickup basketball in the park if he insist on being called Depot. Earlier, Chris shared the key to eternal happiness. Sorry you missed it, Jim. I'll let Jim in on it. It's soup. You gotta eat a lot of soup. There's all kinds of soup that you could eat for happiness. Tomato. And all the others. cold soup, or as their friends call it, fishes soup. Soup. Don't you need a David Bowie impressionist for your next film, Jim? Iman, pass me that roll of toilet paper. I'm on the John. Terrible. I've been savoring this, but I'm really excited to draw Rasputin. Largely because of that song in the 1980s. I learned all kinds of things about him that I didn't know. Sam Frank says, I was streaming, drawing a crow character for a possible story, and I ended it so I can catch the rest of this stream. Oh, that's very nice of you, Frank. Rah, rah, Rasputin. Sing it, Frank. If anybody gets an opportunity, please go and check out Frank's stream where he sings the entire theme song of The Littlest Hobo. At that point, you don't even have to show your ID at the border to get into Canada anymore, Frank. You know the lyrics of Littlest Hobo. And they say, can you, hey, what's your ID there, fella? And your reason for coming into the country there? And you just start into, there's a voice that keeps on calling me, right? Is there a Michael Jordan of bowling? Just change Rah Rah Rasputin to Say Salazar and you have something close to my life story. Oh my goodness. Mine's Dancing Queen by ABBA. You sang it, Frank. Off key or not? I'd like to just be in that restaurant while they order a giant breakfast burrito with David Bowie and Rasputin. Just something fun about that. You can tell when Chris is concentrating because he shits up. I go, shh. I'm listening to China Girl by David Bowie. Oh, I think I got it. I think I got him. Yes! Yes! That's a psychotic reaction, I know, but you have no idea how excited I am about that. That's Twinkle Pies. There's a story behind Twinkle Pies as your name that it's got to be such a good name. I was going to have the online name of Frank Salazar, but I thought it was just too. Yeah, that's on my list. I wrote that down. Yeah, I wrote down Frank Salazar for sure. That's a very good. That's a very good idea. Yeah, thank you, Gary. Gary agrees. There lived a certain man in Texas long ago. He was big and strong, and his eyes a flaming glow. Most people looked at him with terror and with fear, but to Texas chicks, he was such a lovely dear. Thanks, Rick. In Texas. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Werner Herzog one too. Got a couple of great ones here. I get to have Anne Frank beat up Kierkegaard. I don't know. We'll see what I do. Okay. Frank has horror monsters doing the Brady Bunch theme. That's Frank. Frankie S. That's how I wrote it down. Frankie S. Thanks, Frank. That's another good one. Yeah, I'm going to have to star this one. A lot of great ideas today, everybody. It's a good start to the week. It's a start to my week because we had Family Day yesterday. A day where you get to force your kids to come over to your house and visit you for a night in exchange for feeding them. Miss Arizona's beauty momentarily distracts us from its meaningless, but the brief atavistic pleasure we derive is quickly washed away by thought. Even she will one day rot in the ground. That's for you, Gary. I want to have interview the girls. What banal, unoriginal idea would you have for world peace, which is such a useless concept? The best thing is the cowards reference of the Star Wars thing, Gary. You told me about that when they were talking about not having Grogu be a puppet, but by having it be a purely CGI, and he called them cowards. Oh, that's so good. Frank says it's one of his son's birthdays yesterday. Excellent. Happy birthday. I think I'm going to put Kurt Vonnegut in that page, Paul. Historical characters in a boxing contest. I think I might use Kurt Vonnegut as one of them. And he counts as a historical figure because he was at the bombing of Dresden. I've got a page coming up next weekend of different directors and writers, so maybe I'll hold off on my Vonnegut because I got Vonnegut on that page. You can't have enough Kurt Vonnegut. He's one of my favorites. Vonnegut versus Hemingway. That'd be a really short fight. I try to do a really solid first illustration, and then I'll simplify it after that for characters in a page. And the reason behind that is that the reason that I do it, excuse me. Once you've got the root of this is who this is, and hopefully it's somewhat recognizable, at that point you can just go ahead and get away with a little bit more simplification. They got the idea. They understand it's the Pa from the Waltons. Yeah, guys with long arms, right? It's a Fight Club principle. I fight Lincoln. A drinking fight or a writing fight? I don't know. It's still. I think it's still, unfortunately, one-sided towards Hemingway because no matter what, it's going to denigrate into alcoholic lashing out. Refereed by filmmaker Ford. From old footage of the director and how David Lynch plays him in this new film. Apparently, it's the best impression of him ever. That says a lot. Am I drawing Pablo Picasso? Yes. That'd be a good one. That'd be a fun person to put into that historical fight. Historical fist fight starring Kurt Vonnegut. And in this episode, Kurt Vonnegut versus Pablo Picasso. And Vonnegut clocks him with a typewriter and makes his eye go around to the one side of his face. when Picasso lays the haymaker on it, you can have Vonnegut passing out and saying, "So it goes," right? Johnny Picasso. Hey, Paul. Sorry, not quiet again. All right. So the last person I want to figure out, just to get another quick character portrait in there, is Rasputin. Go ahead, Frank. Rah, rah, Rasputin. Sing it. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. That's really that is bananas how you draw that, man. Oh, thanks, Paul. If someone sneezed right now, would everyone jump? I guess it'd have to be me that sneezed. Maybe what I need to do is start having a second camera here in the corner where one of you can narrate. Chris is taking a pen now, and it looks like he's drawing. Mm-hmm. And another mark. He's made another mark, ladies and gentlemen. I lost my comb. There's Frank. That's Frank for today, folks. Think about Frank. That's a good one. Lover of the Russian Queen. What? Is that what those lyrics were? Disgusting. She was married. All right, I'm going to be a little... Grigory Ilyich Rasputin. There was a cat that really was gone. All right. Yeah, I got an idea. So now I'm going to do Rasputin. Really push and play with the planes. And what I mean by planes is when I think of whenever there's a change from here to here to here, I look at all those as planes in my head. It might be a little contrarian, but to break the head down into that many planes, but it just works for me to think of it that way. But we'll get the basics on Rasputin down. And then I'm off. So I'm going to have him eating soup. As my idea is that he's already tucked in, and in that way, you know, we can have a little interplay between the characters about politeness. There's a great, for heaven's sakes, I've forgotten his name. As soon as I do that every time. As soon as I start talking about somebody, I forget their name. He was in Snatch. There's a fantastic Russian actor that I really, really enjoy. In my mind, he's the perfect person for playing Rasputin, just because he has this identifiable way about him that just says Eastern European Soviet bloc. You know, he's been in all kinds of funny things. But well, you just have to put it in the comments, Frank. Frank didn't tell everybody that it was singing the Littlest Hobo song. I think people are used to your abstract way of thinking, Frank. So I've got his eyes looking up at her as she approaches the table. Frank says on his stream he tends to draw very sketchy and messy and then redraw and clean it up. I just draw messy. I don't leave myself a lot of opportunity for too much cleanup because of the silly directional choices that I make. But if you put enough scratches down, people don't see the ones that are the mistaken ones. Like so. They might be. Explains why I've been losing viewers. Oh, I'm sorry you're losing viewers, Frank. I got to be honest. I try to engage as we're talking, and I hope that nobody feels left out. And again, it's always open, and I love suggestions from people and interaction from folks. And if anybody would like to come on and hang out on the stream, you're welcome to contact me. We'll try to set that up. But I don't tend to look at how many people are viewing, and just because I don't want to be self-conscious about that. I used to always say, until somebody advised me, stop saying that. Hey, if anybody's here watching this, I'm trying not to, because I kind of don't know. And I really appreciate the support and the interaction from everybody. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm having a great time, and I hope people are feeling engaged in what we're doing here. And that if there's ever any questions about what I'm going about doing, if there's any, if you're working on something and, I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think you talked about that or something like that. That's a lot of that's in one sentence. If you're trying to figure out a process on something, or if you're getting stuck on a composition and, if there's any way that I can ever help anybody, let me know. I'm all about that. But I tend not to watch and see who's watching me or to, I just trying to be the authentic me, right? And in the process of doing that, try not to be a terrible offensive person or inconsiderate person. But I really, really feeling quite blessed and fortunate that people are tuning in and having some fun. I hope that I'm able to pass on some ideas. You interact just fine, Christopher. Thank you, Dee Dee. Did I say viewers? I meant my sanity. Perhaps you need one of these pills. Okay, so playing with heavy contrasty lines here with Rasputin, trying to get down some of that unkempt hair of his, and that fantastic wild man look that people with long hair and maybe don't have the best hygienic self-care regimen, which I don't believe he did. Sorry, just checking. Frank says he's going to be a guest in the show. When? Now? Now is good. No, Frank. We're getting closer to we're at an hour 40. But yeah, we'll set up a day this week. You gotta behave yourself. So the reason that I haven't drawn a lot of the space around his face and just focused on the internal structure is because this is a lot of blacked out area. Honestly, I want to hold off on it because twofold. One, it can overpower the whatever you're doing, that by going too heavy and too dark in those lines and the space around, and two, it's higher propensity for smudgy. So yeah, I really like engaging and chatting with everybody. It's kind of fun. And it's fun to have Jim on the other night. And it was the other night, I think it was like at least a week ago. And Gary was on there. And it's a great bunch of folks that are tuning in here, and if I can offer an opportunity for us all to find out more about each other and what each other are doing. Heck yes, indeedly do. Trying to catch that mad look in his eyes. How to turn his eye up so that he can look up at Crawford as she's approaching the table. But I might want to pull that one blue line back a little bit. I feel like it went a little too, this is too tight in here. Frank says he likes, there you go. None of that, Frank. Frank says he likes getting engaged too. Really? It's a strange shaped head. Kind of looks really contrived right now. There we go. Yeah, I want to take that line out. It's really annoying me. Do I have... I ordered Puckos or Proscos. I cannot remember the name of these pens. Okay, what do we got? Twinkle Pies. Twinkle Pies has got questions. The sharing of the burrito. Are they cutting it into thirds and eating in the middle style? I like it. I don't think that they're going to have a very equal approach to the burrito. I would think that with such strong characters as Rasputin and Joan Crawford, I think that they may well, a fight may well break out, which will end with David Bowie having to say, "Put the burrito down, Joan." Yeah, you're not doing the trick. It's the weirdest little thing. Postgos. Thank you. Postgos. Twinkle Pies has questions. Don't we all? That gets a star. I'm starring on really random things today. Hopefully this will pull that structure of his face in. Let's just get some of this facial hair down. He's kind of a weird looking guy. All right. We're done. Didi's off. What have I missed? Sorry, guys. I was a little behind here. I heard Rasputin only likes red salsa. Red! See what I just did there? Yes, we do. Yes, we do, Jim. Salsa joke, right? Gandhi versus Mother Teresa, bare knuckles. Both parts played by Ben Kingsley. Looks amazing, Christopher. Heading out. Have a good evening, guys. Have a great evening, Didi. If Bullets and Eyes couldn't take down Rasputin, Joan Crawford doesn't stand a chance. Do not underestimate Joan Crawford. Mostly burrito-based. Burrito-based questioning. Bye, Didi, bye, Didi, bye, Didi, bye, Didi. Good night, John Boy. Yep. First off, I'm going to have to find out what a burrito is. I know what a burrito is. It's okay. All right, there's the Mad Russian. Thank you, Malcolm. Oh, my goodness. So this is where the spoon is going to be for his soup. But again, I don't want to put in too many of the blacks around theirs. I don't want to smudge it around. I still got to put their backgrounds in. There we go. All right. I'm feeling good about that. Okay. What do we got? His stock is mid-sized, but his ears made it look bigger. Burrito-based questioning. Love it. When it comes to burritos, I've always been told size doesn't matter. Stay golden, Tony Boy. I got to do some work at my job or something. Wonderful. Yeah, I don't know. I got to try to fit in some insecurity, burrito-sized insecurity questions, maybe. All right. Well, there's the 3 characters that are going to be in the page. What do we say? I found a Canadian penny in my apartment the other day. No idea how I got there. You're welcome, Frank. Also, it's me to watch your sex. Okay, so I got the 3 people down. I got the idea for the narrative in my head now. I tend to find that you'll find the structure of your narratives come together as you're working on, as soon as you start working on that first panel, that first page. But I'm looking forward to following through on this one. We got some great suggestions for this week. Famous historical characters in a boxing contest, Werner Herzog hosting a beauty pageant, horror monsters doing the Brady Bunch theme. There's some great stuff. I've also got some other pages that I was working on before. I located those in my studio. So I've got a number of pages that I was working on before I got caught up in a number of projects, both paying and personal. And so I'm going to go back and finish those. Salty has a suggestion from before. It was Urban Sasquatch Hunters. So I'll be finishing that page off and presenting that. There's also a gunfight between the Salt and Pepper. A gunfight between Salt and Pepper. So, and I'm so sorry. There was one more, and I can't remember what it was. But I'll be putting those together when time permits as well. So, we've got a pretty solid week flowing through here. I may well, we'll see, but I may well present I may well do the Urban Sasquatch Hunters tomorrow to finish that off. But we'll see. Say that 3 times fast. Again, I appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out. I hope that some of these approaches to mark making with the ballpoint has helped people, and I tend not to be overly explanative today, which I can be at other times. If I don't know if that's a benefit or people can use some of whatever the head chatter I got going on as I'm working, and what that is. It's up to you guys. If you'd like to hear some more of that, let me know. But I got my little quiet focusing moments today, that's for sure. But I'll get this page rocking together, and looking forward to that. And there's all kinds of different things that we can do with these creative energies that we have. And so I try to filter as much of that as I can into all these different projects. So thank you for the stream, Chris. You're a rock star. Oh, hey, thanks very much, Paul. I appreciate that. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for everybody hanging out. Yeah, have a good day, Gary. I appreciate everybody coming in together. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 to present this page, and as well to get cracking lacking on the next one. If anybody might be interested in this sort of thing, let them know. More fun for everyone. We started developing, because I have to develop a curriculum for a number of workshops that I'm going to be doing on writing and drawing for a place here in London. I will, I think, be presenting that in some sort of structured way to one of these services. Dee had presented me with an idea recently, and I think I'm going to look into that a little bit more. But if there's anything that anybody would like me to approach, or any medium or stuff like that, let me know. I'm really keen to do that. And yes, thank you, Jim, for that. I've got my notification waiting for Gary for this, but don't forget to tune into Gary's live stream. Talks about 5 pages left. Very exciting stuff. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. What time is it at? It's 9. If Gary says it's 9, Paul, that means it's 11 for us. It's not, if he's MST and it's 9. What time is it at, Gary, if you don't mind? If Gary's still here, or Jim, if you're here, what time is Gary's stream at? Whatever it is, MST, whatever it is in Gary's time, it's plus 2 hours for people on the East Coast. And it's minus an hour for people on the West Coast. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Jim believes it's at 9. So, good stuff. Okay. I'm really excited. Looking forward to that. Listen to Gary talk about how he's coming up on that home stretch. What an exciting feeling that usually is, I find. Great. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Thanks for the suggestion for today's one-page comic, Jim. I'll get this cracking along tonight and get it all finished up. And I'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock if you guys got time. Thanks very much. Take care, everybody. Bye for now. Get creating. It's still going.